Okay, welcome everyone to Everything and Nothing, another episode, another day, another week, another moment, another breath, another everything. So, today I'm going to talk about death. Yeah, death and the relationship I have with it. It doesn't mean you have to agree with it. It doesn't mean you have to like it. It doesn't mean anything. It just means I'm sharing with you what death means to me. And yeah, just the relationship I have with it. And I'm curious to see what other people have, what kind of relationship you have with death, what it means to you. And yeah, basically, how do you manage it? So most of you know I'm from Mexico. So I grew up, of course, with, Dia de los Muertos and the altars. And I also grew up with a lot of traditions because I was raised Catholic. So I grew up in a small village. So I grew up with a lot of traditions around death. We go through a whole process, or we did in my family in the place where I grew up, where we would, if it was possible, we would bring the person, the loved one, to the house, and we would have a velorio, which I learned in the US, or I think, well, later in the US, I learned it's more like the viewing, where people, have that and you can go see your loved one. But in Mexico, for us, we would have them at our house. And so for me, it wasn't something bad. It was something that was part of life, and something that just, we all came here to do. It's not something that any one human was not going to go through. And growing up, when I was little, I used to have a lot of dreams. I used to have a lot of dreams about the end of the world. And in my world, in my dreams, there would be different ways in which the world would end. And it's not that like the earth would just disappear. It's more like humanity would be gone. It would be the end of humanity, the end of the human race, one would say. So it was in different ways and in different shapes. And I can go into more detail about those in another episode. But I used to dream a lot about death, about how the human race would be gone. And I had a lot of worry or fear to lose my grandmother. So I was very, very close to my grandmother, my mom's mom. And I was always concerned that she was going to die and what was going to happen. And as a result of that, I got really, really close to her because I didn't want her to, I didn't want to miss her. I didn't want to miss out. I wanted to enjoy every moment I had with her, because I knew that death was going to come. Like, it was inevitable. And I had an experience when I was a little girl, I would say around 7 or 8, that I saw a little boy who died. And I remember going to the viewing and, going to the house where they were accompanying him for his last days here on this planet. And I remember I remember seeing his family naturally crying, his sister and his grandparents and his siblings. And I remember feeling like there was something inside of me that just told me he was okay. I understood that there was sadness because he was a child. I understood that it was even worse or more sad because of how he died. It was sad. And yet when I saw him, I felt peace because he looked peaceful. And as I got older, when I was 15, and I was 16, my grandmother transitioned. She passed away. And as we were driving to Mexico to see her for the last time, because they had her, resting at home, so we could all spend our last days with her, or her last days with her. On the way there was an accident that had just occurred, and there was a body. Somebody had gotten hit, a young person, probably a teenager, I think. Must have been a teenager. And I remember vividly because I was devastated that my grandmother had just transitioned. I was on my way there. I was sad about it because I wasn't there. I was sad that I had missed out on spending time with her because I was living in the US with my parents. And I remember seeing that body of that young person. Now, at the time, I remember thinking I must be weird or something, because other people would freak out and they would be, worried, like, wow, no, don't look at them, don't stare at them, don't notice them. And, or they would get extremely sad about it, like, this is horrible. And I didn't feel that. What I would notice was this peaceful, this restful body. And when I saw my grandmother, when I got home and I saw her, it was sad, of course. It was sad that knowing of I wasn't going to hold her again. I wasn't going to hug her again. I wasn't going to be able to talk to her again in this way. And there was nothing anyone could say that could help me feel better. I was devastated. I was devastated because she was gone. She was everything to me. She was everything to me. And it hurt and it was painful. And yet I remember what helped me move through that grief was, a lot of people say it, right? Like, may she rest in peace. She's now in, resting wherever it is that you believe your loved ones go. Some people say, they're going home to where they come from. Some people say they're with the angels, whatever it is. I respect whatever your opinion is. My point is, at that moment, when I was 16 and people would say that, that's not what I wanted to hear. I wanted to see her with me. I wanted to spend time with her. And I say this because it was a loss, or it was a transition that took years for me to come to understand. However, my relationship with death was still, it wasn't bad. It wasn't hateful. It wasn't angry. It wasn't fearful. And I couldn't understand why I wasn't feeling what other people feel, the longing that even after decades of, someone transitioning, they still feel that loss. What I felt for me was, it was painful and it was sad. And what was sad and what was painful was, again, that I wasn't going to see her, that I wasn't going to, it was the memories, that I wasn't going to be able to relive those memories again, that I wasn't going to be able to hold her hand or hear her stories or give her a hug or see her smile, that I wasn't going to be able to relive those memories. But yet I was grateful that I had those memories in my life and in my heart and in my mind, that I could close my eyes and I could relive those moments. So it was almost like that duality of like having it and not having it at the same time. And I still wasn't angry with death. I still didn't have a bad relationship with it. I didn't think it was a bad thing. I didn't think it was a bad thing. It was just something that happened. It was part of everything. It was painful and it hurt. And it definitely felt uncomfortable, especially being young and experiencing that. Can feel overwhelming, for me, it felt overwhelming. For me, it felt something that was not easy to understand or to process. And yet, I have to keep going. We have to continue living. We have to continue with life, right? So as I got older, I realized the pain that is there when I would miss her, when I would miss my grandma. And at the same time, I had my brother and my sister that, I was very close to, and they were younger, a lot younger than me. So I was really happy to be with them. And I wanted to continue living life for them, with them. And so I would focus on that while allowing time and whatever we call it to heal that pain, the wounding in my heart. And again, I wasn't angry with death. I accepted it as this is what we're here to do. It's part of the whole process of life. So when I was in my 20s, after my first marriage, and when I was able to find the strategy, and I was able to find the time, and I was able to find the clarity and the courage and whatever else I needed to muster it outside of me to leave that relationship, I realized that what needed to happen for me to leave was a death. I needed to, when I got married the first time, I had this vision of how my life was going to be and what marriage was going to be like. And as the marriage started getting harder and more complicated and more painful, I started to realize I didn't want that anymore. And I wanted to make room for more, and I didn't know how. And what I realized in my mind was, in order to leave, I have to let go of all these beliefs that I have. And some of the beliefs I had was marriage is hard. So I kept thinking, well, if marriage is hard, it's just always going to be like this. I might as well just stay. We don't get divorced. So I kept thinking, well, I can't get divorced because why? Like, that's going to bring shame. That's not going to fix anything. So I'm stuck here. And three was, it was all my fault. Everything was my fault. So the more I try to make it better, and the more I realize this isn't getting better. This isn't going to get better. When I asked myself, what do I need to leave? The only answer I got was, I need to let this version of myself die. And it was at that moment that I realized how grateful I was for the relationship I had with death. Because for me, the relationship with death was a completion of something. And, a journey, like, whether I understand it or not, that's not the point. It's, whether someone, only, we don't know why people leave when they leave. We don't know why, even people that take their own lives, we don't know why. I do believe that it is meant to happen when it is meant to happen for everyone. When I was younger, in my, teenage years, I contemplated suicide a couple of times after being raped. And what I felt was, I can't go through this because I'm not done. There's more I need to do. My journey here is not complete. I still have so much more to do. So as painful as those things were that I was going through, I knew I wasn't done. I had to keep going. So I have to keep living. I had to keep living. I have to keep loving. It was something in my heart that kept saying, you're here to love and you haven't loved yet. And when in my 20s, I decided, okay, I need to leave. I realized I need to let that version of me, those thoughts, those beliefs, I need to let them die, not kill them. Let them die. Let them die in their own time, in their own way. Put them to rest. Release them because their journey is complete. They brought me here for whatever reason and they helped me get this far. And now it's time for them to go. So once I was able to let go and say, okay, I don't care if I'm divorced. I don't care if people think I'm a failure. I don't care if people judge me for being young and divorced. I don't care. No, marriage is not hard. I don't believe marriage is hard. I believe marriage, any relationship with any human is challenging. I do believe that marriage is a beautiful thing when two people really want it, when two people really want to enjoy it and want to create a beautiful experience out of it. Even when challenging moments come up, if there's a commitment of this relationship, of this marriage, of this union, it can be amazing when the two people are fully committed and they're like really in it, like for sure. That's what I wanted to believe. That's what I chose to believe instead of marriage is hard. And I remember it was challenging. I had to make a decision. I wanted to keep living my life. And there was a part of me that was fearful and scared, thinking I'm going to be judged. I'm going to be labeled. I'm never going to find someone else. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. I was afraid to let go and move forward. So I had to choose. It was almost like coming to, the path, and then you kind of have to, it splits and you have to decide where you go. And I had to choose either to stay where I was and continue to live that life that was not happy for me, or choose to live. So I was either going to die or I was going to live. But either way, I was going to die. If I chose to stay, eventually I was going to die. I was already dying. My soul was dying. My spirit was dying. My mind was dying. And to choose life, I had to die. I had to let that version of me die. I had to let those beliefs die. And because where I was going, if I chose life, to walk on that path of life, that part of me couldn't handle that. That part of me of wanting to stay, of wanting to not be judged, she couldn't walk that path with me. That version of me she wouldn't be able to keep up with me. It would be almost like that part of me was a little ill, a little heavy, a little just dying. And it was either I try to walk the path of life carrying dead weight, or I let her rest and I leave her there, knowing that she's fine, that her journey has completed, that her season is being complete, and then keep going. Kind of like when I was younger, when I was a little girl and I saw death. And that was very helpful for me because that is what allowed me to choose to leave the marriage, regardless of labels, regardless of whatever, and continue to live my life. And from then I went to, back to university. Then I went to Germany to study abroad. I met someone in Germany, got married in Germany, moved to England, came to Canada. So what I'm saying is I had a beautiful life. I have lived so much. And the reason why I'm sharing, why I'm talking about death is it's not something that happens once and then you just let it go. It's something that keeps happening in order to continue to live. And I recently had the opportunity and the honor and the gift of choosing to live again, which meant I chose to die again. So I became aware that there was a part of me, like I would wake up every morning and be like, okay, today's going to be amazing. It's going to be a beautiful day. Everything's going to be aligned. Everything's going to be great, amazing. And somewhere along the days, there was a part of me that felt heavy and sad and heartbroken. And, everything else is going amazing. I have great opportunities. I have great partnerships, great collaborations. But this one thing was weighing me down, was feeling like there was a part of me that was like, I can't go on. This hurts too much. I don't want to go that way. And so as I reflected on that, as I sat with that and I checked in with myself, what is it? I realized, it's a limiting belief. It's not the same, I don't want to get divorced because I'll be labeled, but it was a similar limiting belief. I can't go on. This hurts too much. And I realized, here's another opportunity. And I'm grateful that I have the relationship I have with death, because I could literally say, okay, I'm choosing life. You don't have to come with me. You can stay here and you can choose to die if that's what you want. You can rest. Your journey is complete. I got the rest of it. I got it. And to give myself, to give that version of me permission to die is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing about letting go. For me, it's a death of some kind, like the trees. When the trees have the leaves in the fall and they're letting them go, that, we say the trees are dying, or flowers, or we see it in, our house plants. And I wanted to celebrate that relationship that I have with death, that it's not an ending of something. It's not morbid. It's not dark. It's not horrible. It is a beautiful part of the process and a beautiful part of the journey to have that conversation and say, I understand. This is heavy. This hurts. This is painful. And that version of me, that part of me, couldn't keep going, couldn't stay, or couldn't keep up on that path that I need to go, that I choose to, that I want to continue. I want to continue to live. I want to live. I want to have fun. I want to smile. I want to sing and I want to dance. And I want to do all of these amazing things with my life. And when there's parts of me that just don't want to go on, I don't have to carry those parts with me. I can politely, respectfully, with grace and with love, give them permission to die. I don't have to force them. I don't have to drag them with me. I don't have to stay with them either. I don't have to sit there and cry and be sad and be miserable and be in pain and be in suffering all the time. I don't have to. It's a choice. And I'm still choosing me. I'm just choosing I want to keep living me instead of I think I want to end it here. So when those moments happen, which is not all the time, although I feel like we're in constant life and death cycle, even the cells of our body die and replenish, right? But we just focus on the big ones, the big decisions where you have to decide, like, okay, I need to keep going, or I need to stay here. Like even at work, how many times have we been at work in a job that is just painful and miserable, and it's just draining life out of us, really. And it just feels like, oh, this is just too hard. But a part of you wants to stay there. A part of you wants to stay in that space, in that job, for whatever reason. And another part of us just wants to keep going to something else, to another adventure, to another space. And so even in those moments, we can say, well, I can leave that part of me that wants to stay there. I can leave that part of me that really wants to stay in that role, that wants to keep that title, and I'm going to let her rest. You can even like do a little ceremony of gratitude for that version of you that made it that far to that high level paying job or that high level title that you earned. Great, celebrate the celebration of life. And then it's almost like you take off that cape, you take off that title, you take off that mask, like the serpents that shed their skins, and you take them off and you leave them there, and that is death right there. And you let them rest in a good way, in a celebratory way, with love, with compassion. And so the last time I had to choose that to that extent, like, okay, I really got to go. What I did is I wrote a letter. I wrote this letter, and I wrote the letter following, I thought my intention was to write the letter following the Opono Opono, you know, the water prayer, the Hawaiian. Many people know it by now. It's the thank you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you. It's in different sequences. Some people say it the other way around. I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. But it's got those 4 phrases. So my intention was to write that letter and tell Yvette, that version of Yvette, hey, I love you. I'm sorry for any shenanigans. I'm sorry for any times I ignored you. I forgive you for XYZ. I love you. And what I realized is I started writing the letter to myself, really thanking that part of me, thanking that version of me for all that it endured, for all of the perseverance, for all of the passion, for all of the love that it gave, for all of the voice, for all that courage that she had to like say something, to speak up, to use her voice, to use her tone. And even if she was criticized for being too loud or too aggressive, I thanked her for being who she is, for being who she was, for her authenticity. I thanked her for her bravery to show up, despite of what anyone was saying of her, was thinking of her. I thanked her for that. I thanked her for carrying all that pain that she did for so long while I wanted to pull her into another direction. I thanked her for not giving up. I thanked her for standing up strong and saying, I can't go. I hurt. I'm in pain. This is sad. And then I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not listening. I'm sorry for the times I was pushy. I'm sorry for the times I was critical. And I'm sorry for the times I was judgmental, for the times that I judged you through the eyes of others that were judging you. I'm sorry for the times that I believed what others were saying of you instead of believing what I know of you. I'm sorry for the times that I allowed doubt and pain take over that led to me ignoring you. I'm sorry for not seeing you because others didn't see you. I'm sorry for putting others' perspective of you before what I know of you. And when I got to the I forgive you, I realized I didn't have to forgive her for anything. She was amazing, just as she was. She was strong and she was brave. And even though I could see in her eyes that she was tired, that she was hurting, instead of, I didn't need to forgive her for that. And I have had, people in the past that would say, oh, stop saying you're tired. Just keep going, keep pushing. No, I need to listen to that part of me. And if that part of me is tired and does not want to go on, I'm not forcing her to go on. It's like when we have children or when we're children and our parents are like pushing us to do something we don't want to do. No. So as I was writing that letter, I realized I didn't have to forgive her for anything. She was perfect in my eyes, in my heart, in my perspective, in my view. And what I wrote next was, I love you. I love you exactly for who you are. I love you for all the amazing things that you did, for your courage, for your bravery, for your focus, for your dedication, for your continuous effort to show up, for always showing up no matter what. You did amazing. And I cheered her on. And as I was writing that letter, I noticed the more I wrote that letter, the more she was letting go of me. So not dying in the sense of like sad and misery and crying. The more I let her go with the message of rest in peace. You've done what you came here to do. You did amazing. I got the rest of this journey. I got it. I got this. I got this. And the more I said that, the more I wrote in that letter how much I loved her and how much I appreciated her and how beautiful she was, how beautiful she is because she was still there, and how beautiful her words were and how amazing. Like I went through every little detail of what I loved about her. The way she showed up, the way she loved, the way she believed in love, the way she trusted in love, the way she just like surrendered to it. And then I loved for how she was able to hold so much in her heart that nobody really saw other than me and her. Nobody was there really. Even if people show up to listen, to talk, to whatever, only she knows and only I know because we were there. We're one, right? So it was this beautiful moment of letting go, of letting her rest in peace. Like we say when someone dies, rest in peace. I wanted her to rest. I wanted her to know she's done amazing. And I am proud of her and I celebrate her. And I just want her to choose whatever she wants to do. If she chooses to stay in that memory, if there was a moment in space, in time that she wanted to hang on to, she was free to do that. And what I felt when I said that was her saying, I don't want that. I just want to be free, free to feel and free to just go. And I said, you're free to go. I'm not forcing you to come with me. I'm not going to force you to smile. I'm not going to force you to do anything. And that letter was, to this day, it's one of the most beautiful letters I've ever written. There's a love letter template that I use when I do coaching sessions with people, whether it's letting go of a relationship or writing it to a family member, a friend, but even patterns, like at work. There's a lot of things that we hang on to. We've always done it this way. We've always done it that way. And so I invite participants and the clients that I work with to write that letter, to say thank you, and that the love letter template, it's quite in depth and it's very focused with a lot of things. If you're interested about it, let me know. I'll send it to you. The one that I wrote the last time was without a doubt one of the most beautiful letters I have ever written. So beautiful that it's a template that I use now for my clients as a love letter instead of the other one I use. It's this one. It's this one. Like, yeah. And what the reason I'm sharing all of this is possible, and all of these experiences that I go through and all of these letting goes and all of these versions and all of this, the ability and the capacity to be able to move through life, through pain, through heartbreak, through disappointment, through judgments from others that then end up being judgments for ourselves, is because I have such, in my opinion, a beautiful relationship with death that I am not afraid to die. I am not afraid to say, it's time for this. It's time for this to die. And the most beautiful part of it is when I am able to allow versions of me, younger versions of me, or even yesterday's version of me to die. Like when I go to bed, I say, today was an amazing day. It was beautiful. And I showed up the way I did, and I'm happy with how I did it. And I'm going to bed, and I don't know if I'll wake up tomorrow or not. And if I do, I'm curious what the day is going to bring and what version of me is going to show up, because it'll be something different. Because there's nothing that's going to be exactly the same as yesterday. Like for everything in this universe and this whole existence to be exactly the same, that's kind of hard when we know that everything's moving. Like just looking out the window, I see the trees, there's slight breeze, and the breeze is moving the trees. So there's already change there. There's movement, and there's the leaves that are falling, the ones that fall. And there's the little bugs. For every single day to be the same, every single thing would have to be the same, and it already isn't. So I look forward to whatever version of myself is going to be birthed through every breath, through every word, through every morning, to every waking up. And I give gratitude every night to that version of me that showed up that day to get me through that journey of that day, to experience those moments with certain people. And that's why it's important for me to be aware of, how am I feeling? Am I forcing something on myself? Am I pushing myself to do something I don't want? Is this version of me complete? Is she ready to just be like, nah, I'm done here. You need yourself another version. I'm like, you need to update your system because I'm out. And if that's the case, honor that, sit down, and have that awareness of, I let you rest in peace. I let you go in peace. I got something else to do. I got to keep going. I got this. I got the rest of the journey. So, yeah, that's my conversation for today, for this week. I'm choosing life. I'm choosing love and fun, prosperity, work with amazing people, work with clients that are committed, that keep showing up, work with people, collaborate with people that are genuinely open to collaboration, that genuinely respect a balance and genuinely respect a partnership. And live life, make that time to go out, make that time to take care of myself, to do my workouts, to do my hikes with my dog, to take all my dogs for a walk outside, to take care of all the things that I love, not to like keep them from leaving, but to live with them, to really experience life with them the best that I can, whether it's with my drums or with my journal or with my shakers or with my teepee or with my cats or with whatever it is. Like really live it and really enjoy it, because this version will never have a chance to do that again. This is it. And how amazing is that? How amazing is that? Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. I wish you an amazing rest of your time, week, weekend, whatever day. And yeah, I hope you choose to live. And if you choose to live life to the fullest, you know where I am. Let's continue to make this life beautiful, because life is beautiful. Until next time, I wish you all the best, and yeah, see you around.